That's what I was thinking.
I'm gonna get on my toes
What
and
about
make
you
it
guys?
on the ground. The Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 meeting of the Sugarland Development Corporation is called to order. Mr. Secretary, do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
No.
Everybody here in the room who wants to do public comment? Okay, thank you. Number 3, we get a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion. All in favor, say aye, raise your hands.
Aye.
Any against? That's, well, how many, what, 6-0. Number 4, contracts, 4A, consideration of and action on authorization of a contract with Newmark and Company Real Estate, Inc. in the amount of $87,500 for life science strategy and study. Alba Panyate Johnson, Senior Business Development Manager.
So good afternoon. I'll be bringing forward the contract consideration for life science strategy with Newmark. I first do want to mention that Kim Moore, who is the executive managing director with Newmark, is with us today. She'll help create this strategy, and I will now let Kim introduce herself.
Good afternoon. Hopefully you can all hear me.
Later.
Perfect. Hi, Kim Moore. I'm an executive managing director with Newmark. I lead both our economic incentives advisory practice as well as our economic development consulting practice, which the study would fall under. We are excited to be a partner with Sugarland, and I believe we're going to talk a little bit more about the study in a few moments.
Thank you, Kim. So first, I want to give a background on Newmark. So they provide professional consulting services to a lot of clients, including both private and public entities. They are headquartered in New York City and employ more than 6,700 professionals across the globe who average over 20 years of experience in their fields of expertise. In addition to these number of services, they do offer a comprehensive suite of services to life science tenants and owners through the life science practice group. Their specialized advisors assist clients in strategic planning, targeted industry analysis, workforce and talent development, and stakeholder and community engagement. So over the past few years, we have worked closely with Newmark on several projects and have built a successful relationship with them. Recently, Newmark worked with the Greater Houston Partnership, which is one of our partners, to create a life science report for the Houston region that focused on life sciences subsectors of focus like workforce, education, pipeline, and gas, regional development priorities and corridors, regional collaboration and coordination, marketing strategies, and business case development. So using that final study, we are looking to analyze our Sugarland market and life science opportunities and outline a path forward. So we will be sending a life science report to you after this meeting if you haven't already received it. So as you know, our office has identified 5 target industries that have opportunities for additional employment growth and capital investments. And this was done through the workforce target industry analysis. So these include advanced manufacturing, business and professional services, life sciences, information technology, and tourism. So through identifying life sciences as a target industry, this contract will strengthen Sugar Land's position in an already growing life science ecosystem. The contract consists of a three-phase process. The first is mobilization and current state analysis, which includes an analysis of Sugar Land's current position in the life science industry, as well as identification of industry segments for prioritization. The second is assessment and analysis and opportunity analysis, Newmark will identify Sugar Land's marketable advantages, priority development areas, and an incentive policy review and recommendations for aligning with life science priorities. And the last one is integration roadmap and path forward, and where Newmark will provide an in-person presentation of their findings and recommendation for a path forward in the life science industry. This strategy will strengthen Sugar Land's standing in the industry and give the business development division specific target companies to attract and pursue. So as I mentioned before, Sugar Land already has a locational advantage and is ready to complement the medical center in Houston and its life science industry as well. Also along the 59 corridor leading into Fort Wayne County, which would allow regional collaboration and further grow our life science ecosystem. So now I'll turn it over to Kim to talk a bit more on how the process would work for these three phases.
Thanks, Alba. So yeah, we are very excited about this because we do feel like this could bring a very specific path forward for Sugar Land in this space specifically. As she mentioned, our day jobs are doing site selection. So we work with the companies that are looking to locate in market and try to find out the best locations for them to expand. And we have considered Sugar Land for a life science project within the last 24 to 36 months. So with that, we want to make sure that you're focusing on the right targets, that you have the right message and the right business case to go forward. We will look to identify some potential roads of opportunity for companies that might be looking to expand. It would be to complement Houston, but also to help you stand out, and which would be in some very unique ways, like around real estate development, as well as potential improvements to develop an incentive policy specific for life sciences. Again, we would do all of this with stakeholder engagement, making sure we understood how you as a community view yourselves, as well as how we as site selectors view from the outside. And then on top of that, we give you a roadmap and implementable tasks that you can take forward to immediately make roads in being able to recruit and actually win projects in life sciences, or even grow internally from some of the wonderful companies we know that you already have in the space within the market. With that, again, we don't want this to be a study. We want this to be a plan. We do not want it to sit on the shelf. We want it to be something that you can immediately start to implement upon completion. We will give you tasks that are short-term, mid-term, long-term. We try to let you know whether we think that they would be challenging or easy, and we don't give you a cost per item, but at least give you an idea if it is easy, not inexpensive or expensive. And if it is a very expensive tool, not knowing your budget, we will try to give you some inexpensive ways to do it in the meantime, until you kind of giving you like a Chevy model and then all the way up to a Rolls-Royce model kind of scenarios that you can operate within to move forward, so that you don't have to wait in order to make those types of implementations. Is there anything else, Alba, you'd like me to share specifically?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
So going to the budget in terms, the total contract amount is $175,000. Costs would be shared between 4A and 4B. And upon execution and approval of the contract, a payment of $25,000 will be paid from each corporation for a total of $50,000, leaving a balance of $125,000, which would be about $62,500 from each corporation, to be made when the final report was delivered. The strategy's expected completion will be in about 20 weeks or 5 months, with us beginning this month. So with that, are there any questions I could answer?
Questions? William?
I'm sorry, I'm the slow one in the room. I'm sure this lady and their group is fabulous. I don't understand what they're doing. They're doing marketing for us.
They're going to create a life science strategy for us to move or.
Tell me what that means.
Okay.
Like, whatever you just said.
So we're looking, so we already have organic life science companies here. We're wanting to grow our life science sector. because-
Meaning healthcare.
Not healthcare, but more in the biotech research and development industry. Because we already have pharmaceutical manufacturing, for example, we're wanting to just go bigger with that.
Okay,
So what we can do within our real estate or existing real estate we can create.
and they're gonna help us do that.
Yes, sir, they're gonna
Okay.
outline a path forward.
Is this your only resource? Did we look to others or have we worked with them for years or?
We've worked with them in the past, like Kim said, we have worked projects with them before. They also just did a life science report with the Greater Houston Partnership. So we are piggybacking off that report to complement the entire Houston region as well as Fort Wayne County.
Okay, thank you.
We're spending $175,000, and I don't know if that's a normal amount for a study like this, and we're looking to, I guess, attract more life sciences to the city. What is our expected ROI on this? I mean, what can we realize from $175,000?
So within that 175,000 plus getting the strategy for it, we'll get a list of companies that we will then go after, attract and pursue and bring them to Sugar.
What is the likelihood of us attracting those and keeping them?
It would depend on the real estate we create and the real estate we have. So for example, right now, life sciences in a lab space is about $100 to $900 a square foot. So it really depends on the incentives as well. And that is part of the strategy and one that we were reworking. There has been a focus on personal equipment incentives in the life science industry. And so we'll be looking at incorporating that into our incentives.
One more question.
Oh, sorry, Elba, can I add something to that real quick? One of the things that we want to do is make sure that you're focusing in the right area to make sure that your win rate is higher. So when you look at life sciences, bio life sciences, there's probably about 200 subsectors underneath that, anywhere from biologics to manufacturing to research and development and other things. So what we want to do is take a look at your assets specifically and tell you, instead of targeting 250, you should really be targeting these 5. These 5 fit with your real estate. These 5 fit with your competitive advantages, your labor pool. We're going to take a look at all the different critical location factors that a client of ours would be looking for to locate in a market, tell you where you stand, give you some things that you can improve on to bring in your likelihood of winning and retaining those projects, but hopefully giving you a focus in that industry. That way that your wins will be more strong and more frequent because you're really playing in the realm of life science bio that you are best suited to win in.
Okay, and that was my next question. So if we are targeting these companies, we are already in the area that we can absorb them with the real estate we have and the market we have here. So we're not going to have to recreate or have to facilitate them with things we don't have. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
From a real estate perspective, there's always going to be some customization that has to go with the sites that they're using. You know, they'll need clean rooms and lab space and some different things. So there may need to be some changes, internally to the buildings. The key is we're also going to look at your incentive policies to help make that, doable and understandable for everyone. So there may be some potential for new construction as well to fit in these realms, and we'll understand the sites that you have available for that. But again, all of them will be tailored back and match the actual industry subsectors that you have the main components other than real estate to gather and hold on to. So again, if you're looking for certain types of manufacturing, they may need surgical technicians, and you have a large number of surgical technicians and great programs in your workforce development to create more so it has a sustainable pipeline, then we would be making sure that you're focusing on those subsectors that need surgical technicians because you have a critical location advantage of the programs that you've put in place. So looking at what you have existingly, looking at what would be easy to create without much disruption to actually continue to strengthen your story. And then again, focusing that on very specific parts of the life science bio atmosphere and creating that ecosystem that really fits with your community instead of just randomly chasing a lot that happens in this industry. We want to bring that down to focus.
Thank you. I just want to make sure we have a realistic pursuit that we can attain. Thank you.
Absolutely understand.
Carol?
So are we looking at luring away companies with tax abatements who are currently happy, totally happy where they're at and just saying, hey, we're gonna give you these incentives, come here? Or are we going to be going after companies who are looking at adding additional locations and expanding their companies?
So Kim, I'll let you touch on this, but I'll answer the first part of the question.
Sure.
Life sciences, we have tax abatements, we have direct incentives. What we've seen in the market is that it's not enough, which is why we're reworking our incentive policy. But a lot of it is the attraction. And if there's a business that wants to expand. But for example, if there's a startup that started in the Texas Medical Center and is now ready for a bigger area or bigger real estate, that's where we will come in at the price point that is competitive in the life science market. Kim, does that answer the question to?
Yeah, so to add on to that, we would be mostly focusing on external recruitment, outside of the state coming into the state, and then maybe outside of the region coming into the region. However, Alba makes a fantastic point, which is to strengthen your story to maybe get some of those companies that are leaving the incubator that, they've grown, they've gone past that valley of death. They are going to be viable. They're closer to their FDA approval and they're moving to manufacturing or something stronger, that you would be in a viable place to actually bring those into the community because they already have a footprint and understand the Houston region, but maybe, giving you an access to them for that next level of scale.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Oh, did you say this was 5 weeks or 5 months?
5 weeks, 20.
5 months.
5 months.
5 months. Okay. Okay. Well, I was going to say it's a
I tried
quick
to-
175,000
Yeah,
bucks in 5 weeks.
certainly.
Okay.
Okay.
Got that right.
So when the plan or study is done, they're going to give us a playbook. And from that playbook, it is up to staff to go execute. Is that what I'm hearing? Do we have enough bandwidth on staff to go execute?
Yes,
We do.
you're prepping for it.
We're prepping for it. Okay.
Well,
Because
we have it, we will execute it.
Because I hear a lot that staff is overwhelmed on certain things that we're doing. I just want to make sure that staff is, if we move forward and we've got the playbook, not the Rolls Royce, but a Cadillac. I prefer Cadillacs. Cadillac, Rolls Royce is too expensive.
So within our department, we have the 4 divisions, 3 divisions, but business development would focus very heavily on.
I have no more questions.
I have a question. Don't we use DCI to execute some of this stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was
So
like.
DCI is marketing, this would be life science.
Okay.
This would be more of the BRE arm.
May I ask Kim a question? Kim, what's your assessment of the Sugarland labor pool, specifically young professionals?
I don't have the answer to that for you yet. Again, we need to reevaluate it. The last time we evaluated it was prior to COVID, so need to update that. So obviously it's a couple years old from our standpoint. Just coming in our experiences with Sugarland to this point has been a wonderful quality of life, still affordable, market to live and to access in. Those are all great things that bring in that young professional environment. But as for the actual labor data, that would be a main portion of our study, because no matter what happens and how everything is, the #1 critical location factor for any of our clients, no matter the asset type or size or industry, is labor availability and sustainable pipeline.
Okay, all right, thanks. Anybody else? We need a motion.
And real quick, just to add on, I think a good comparison or kind of examples. Newmark is gonna give us the roadmap, the path forward. DCI is gonna then be engaged to help us sell it. So they're gonna make the industry one-pagers more robust. They're gonna be the ones helping us tell the story, going out to the media and so forth. So I think it's a great combination for us to win.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Yeah, sure.
I'm really here with what I heard Suzanne say, and I think Carol touched on it. $175,000, a lot of money. Okay, so we've looked at every other option on getting this information. I mean, it's almost like you could hire a staff member to do nothing but this. I don't know, because I don't understand. So please, I'm not trying to say this is a terrible idea. I don't understand how the playbook is $175,000, and I don't know the industry, so sorry.
I would love to take a shot at answering that question for you. And it's a little bit of what makes us different. So yes, I know that's a lot of money, to spend on a study. Again, I don't want it to be a study. I want it to be a plan. What sets us apart from other vendors that do this type of work and why we are a little more expensive is because we are site selectors. Our day job is working with these companies to put them in locations. So you are having our expert opinion. And a little bit more about my background. I have 23 years experience in economic development. I've been doing site selection for 8 years. So I did municipal economic development prior to joining Newmark. And I was very successful working for the city of Dallas, brought in companies like AT&T and MoneyGram. And I thought I had the marketing down pat. I thought I had my storyline down pat, and we were successful. I will honestly tell you, once I switched sides and I got into site selection, I realized that the stories that I was using were not as deep and business focused as the companies specifically need to understand in here, as well as site selectors in the field. So the playbook and what makes this different and how it should hopefully help you on your return on investment is we are giving you the exact language, what we want to see and what we want to hear when cities like Sugar Land come to specifically seek us out to meet with us, because we are exactly the people that DCI is trying to target their marketing to. And so we're trying to make that message stronger. We're trying to be more business focused in the language that you use so that you don't have to fight as hard to win those projects, because not only does your community fit, but it sounds like you understand the industry to its core, and that's what businesses are looking for. We also have worked with DCI in the past on some of their marketings. They're actually currently engaged with one of our other clients, redoing all of their marketing messaging to fit this business case marketing that we're talking about. And that's going to be a big key takeaway of our study, is how to speak the language to the right people. And then we're going to give you people that have the best ability to potentially be looking for a location in the next 18 to 24 months.
Good. It's like hiring a former IRS agent to do your taxes.
We're going to show you where the loopholes are. That's right.
Okay, so we need a motion. Anybody care to make a motion?
Charlie.
Second.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, thank you, Kim. Thank you, Alba.
Make it work.
We're so excited to be a partner with you on this assignment.
We're looking forward to it.
We'll watch you.
Okay. 4B, consideration of an action on authorization of the transfer of a standard form of agreement of economic development performance agreement and Sugar Land Development Corporation consent to assignment from Sage Dulles Limited LTD to API Investments Company LLC. Alba, you're still up.
So this is an assignment or reassignment of the economic development performance agreement we had with Sage Dulles before. And API Credo has bought the real estate. So the performance agreement was for a term of 10 years. The direct incentive was $102,256 over 10 years, with the obligations being an investment of 11 million, inventory of at least 4 million, and a creation of a total of 61 primary employees. And the agreement does provide a clawback for default and reduction for lack of employee retention. And so in September of last year, Sage Dulles sold the almost 20-acre site to Accredo, and Accredo has decided to accept the transfer of ownership of the performance agreement. All terms and conditions within the agreement would remain the same. So no changes, just the change of ownership. This has been reviewed by the EDC committee and the city council during executive session. And so staff does recommend approval of the standard form of assignment of the performance agreement to Accredo.
Motion to approve.
Okay, second,
I just have a question. real quick.
sure.
Accredo has certain agreements with the city today. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
This does not affect that, or they're allowed to have multiples with the city.
They are allowed to have multiple.
Okay.
They're different real estate locations.
Perfect. Second.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, thank you, Alba. Number 5, budget. Number 5A, consideration of an action on fiscal year 2023 budget amendment in the amount of $120,388 from fiscal year 22 carryover funding. Scott Butler, Executive Director. Newly appointed Executive Director.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, just because in the large part, this is routine for you all, but if you have questions, please feel free to ask. Sorry. This is something that we do every year. Basically, what a carryover is, the things that we planned in FY22 that we weren't able to complete, we bring them into FY23 in order to allow us to complete them. It requires board approval prior to going to council, which is why we're here today. And we're planning to take that to council on the 21st. This is a snapshot of how we ended FY22. This is based on the updated budget at the time of update to projections. This is additional. So the first thing is the additional revenue that we received, $150,000. You can see that that on the expenditure side, both on the operating expenditures and non-operating, there's about $2.35 million. $2 million of that is the reserve for opportunity that we set aside each year. And so what that means is that essentially we ended the year $2.5 million better than what we planned. And most of that, like I said, is the reserve for opportunity. These are the carryovers that we have planned. So we're talking about that $250,000 amount that was noted here under operating expenditures. These are the items. It's a total of $120,000. If you have any questions about those, someone from Elizabeth seems happy to answer them.
What is the Imperial chart house 49,999? Is that what we've already, does that include what we've already done?
Yes, is the Urbano work that they did on the char house, phase 2 or phase 1.
Yes. So how that impacts the FY23 budget, you can see that the changes to the beginning fund balance include the $2.5 million that I mentioned for how we ended FY22. The additional expenditures, $120,000 are in there. You'll notice that there's also a line for accrued sales tax. Accrued sales tax, because sales tax reporting lags about 2 months, we accrue the October and November numbers back to the previous year. So that's what that additional amount of $140,000 is. And so with this update then for FY23, it is a increase to the ending fund balance of $2.24 million. You can see that our ending fund balance for 23 is $13.8 million. Our fund balance policy says that we need to have $1.08 million. That's based on 15% of budgeted sales tax. And then our debt coverage ratio is at 1.85, and that's based on a policy requirement of 1.2. With that, the recommendation is approval of this budget amendment for carryover items from FY22 to FY23. The next steps, this will go to council on February 21st, and then the updated or amended budget will be reflected in the second quarter financial.
Scott, does that 2.24 the net of the 2.5 minus the 100 and whatever it was?
It's the net of those.
So that spills into the ending fund balance?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and are we at liberty to use this extra money now?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Though any use of that would come back via a budget amendment to this board that will be approved and then approved by council as well.
gotcha. Any question, Michelle?
Motion to approve.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Okay, questions? All in favor, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, thanks, Scott. Elizabeth,
Yes, sir. I will make this fast. Okay, so just real quick, the DCI here is some coverage for Credo Packaging in Expansion Solutions magazine. They came to us for an opportunity to highlight companies that are doing sustainable manufacturing, and so we gave them a few different companies, and they ended up publishing an article about Credo, which is great exposure for not only for Sugar Land, but for Credo as well. They have also been really working on our LinkedIn and helping us put some paid advertising behind our job openings that we have right now, and those have gone really, really well. The click-through, people are reading them, they're looking at it, and they're asking questions about Sugar Land, which is great exposure for us. And then they've also been working on the back end of optimizing some of our website pages and trying to make it simpler, more efficient, and more effective and easier for people to find stuff. And then last but not least, tune into ABC 13 tomorrow at 4:30 or 6:30. Miss Alba Pinate Johnson is met with a reporter to talk about Sugar Land's history, but also to talk about all of our employers that are might be hiring right now and just what our target industries are. So we actually ended up that we got enough notice that she was able to do the interview, and then we also DCI created a page on our website that has now, I think it's what is it, SherwinTX or SherwinEcoDev.com/jobs. That we have gone in and put links to our companies, our major employers that have career or job postings. So it's good for us because we get people to come to our website and look at us and just information that we have, but then we're also connecting them to our employers, which is great. So hoping to keep that momentum going. That's all I've got.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
All right.
Carol? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned. Thank you. Feel free to turn on your microphones.
Second late.
Well, I don't like to cut people off, though, because see, some people like to talk like this, so I forgot my hard to keep pass. But there was.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, let's do it.
You